Work today.
Okay. Hello, this is Force 13 Live. We are currently concerning this current event of a moderate risk ongoing across Mississippi, Tennessee, and parts of Arkansas. This has quickly developed. I noticed that this moderate risk was recently issued. It was recently issued like 2 hours ago by now, I think it was. But we are here to cover it. This is likely going to be a big event. We are watching for the formation of supercells in the area from Helena, West Helena, all the way up towards Lexington, Tennessee. We still have yet to see too much of that, but we are expecting it as per the SBC's outlook. So here we will look towards the radar. This is a current view of the radar. And you can see there is 2 tornado warnings active. Let me just change the type because there's 2 tornado warnings active. Okay, that's good. So yes, we are currently watching this event unfold. And currently, we have me, of course. This is more Zeta on the road. And we also have, Sammy joining us from Illinois. What are your current thoughts on this severe weather setup?
Well, right now, as you can see, yes, we did get another moderate risk issue earlier today, and most of that moderate risk is covering the National Weather Service Memphis area of responsibility. It's mainly going to be confined to that area. However, you do have an enhanced risk with a 10% significant tornado risk extending all the way down towards the Gulf Coast of Texas and Louisiana. The primary threat for the moderate risk is tornado and wind driven. Not only are we going to see potential supercells that can produce a couple of strong tornadoes in these areas, but we also have a pretty potent squall line that's going to be running across the deep south region all the way up towards through Dixie Valley region and towards the lower Ohio Valley, where the threat should diminish once it leaves the lower Mississippi Valley region. However, right now we are looking at the primary target area that is being focused on for tornadoes, strong tornadoes, and winds is going to be up in Memphis. So we currently have a 15% significant tornado risk, pretty much exclusive to the central and some southern parts of the Memphis metro area. That's going to be southern Tennessee, far southwestern Tennessee, far eastern Arkansas, and parts of northern Mississippi here. The 10% risk extends all the way down the Mississippi River Valley, all the way towards central Louisiana into far eastern Texas. That's where the main tornado threat is going to be, but you also do have a 5% tornado risk extending all the way up into southwestern Ohio and south central Ohio, so getting into the Ohio Valley region, and then you have a 2% tornado risk extending all the way from 5% risk also extends down through all of southern coastal Louisiana, with a 2% risk extending all the way up into southwestern Pennsylvania, through much of southern Ohio, parts of northern Virginia and West Virginia, and even parts of Maryland. So some of the Mid-Atlantic region definitely going to be seeing a bit of tornado activity. However, it looks like it's going to be the extent of the overall severe risk as well. But the greater severe risk, you also have a 45% significant wind risk for extending from parts of eastern Arkansas into parts of southwestern Tennessee and northern far northern Mississippi, with a 30% non-significant wind risk extending all the way from middle Tennessee all the way down to central Louisiana and eastern Texas. And then we have a 30% significant hail risk extending from southern Arkansas through parts of western Mississippi, through parts of central Louisiana, and all the way into parts of eastern Texas.
Okay, so that was Sammy, everyone. We are currently watching the severe weather event once again unfold. As we look at the radar, you can see all those risks there. We still have those 2 tornado warnings in effect, so let's quickly go over them. We currently have one that's currently encompassing the town of Ripley, Tennessee. This looks like it is producing some rotation. It's a little hard to tell on the radar, but you can see there is a little bit of a kink in the system right there, so that will indicate that there is some tornadic activity possible near Henning and Woodville. I'm not really seeing the rotation personally, but I do agree that the NWS issued this tornado warning, and I do agree with the statement that everybody in Ripley, Henning, Halls, Friendship, Maury City, and Alamo should be in their safe spots. Also,
let's take a look at
what were you saying?
Let's take a look at go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the specifics of this tornado warning that we have right now, the latest one at least. This tornado warning will be in effect until 2:30 p.m. Central Time for western Crockett, north central Tipton, southeastern Dyer, Lauderdale, and northern Haywood counties. As of 1:56, the severe thunderstorm was over Fort Pillow or near Fort Pillow State Park, moving to the northeast at 50 miles an hour. Tornado and quarter-sized hail will be the threats of this storm. This will include the following locations, all listed in this warning: Edith, Falks, Balnacord, Nutbush, Jenkinsville, Lookett, Fort Deer, Maury Junction, Halls, Poplar Grove, Dyersburg, Hurd, Dog Hill, Brims Corner, Tibbs, Durhamville, Maury City, Nunkapoo, Findlay, and Stinger.
Okay. We also do have another tornado warning in effect for Dumas, Arkansas, or it's right south of Dumas. Is also in effect for Winchester, and it looks like that has just been extended now for Watson and Gillette. So let me just change the scene there towards tornado warning. We currently have this in effect. The radar indicated tornado warning for the following counties: Desha County in southeastern Arkansas, Lincoln County in southeastern Arkansas, and Arkansas County in southeastern Arkansas. So all these regions do have to be paying attention to a potential area of rotation, which is approaching towards Watson. This definitely looks interesting. I do see the velocities picking up, and latest scan, it does look like we do have an increased area of rotation in this region. You can see that we have some brighter colors over here near Winchester and some brighter colors over here. This combination will contribute to the velocity that we're noticing. So that is what we're currently seeing on our Arkansas storm. Moving back to Tennessee, we aren't seeing too much on this storm yet, but I do imagine that there will be some potential with it in the future. And we do have this supercell, sort of, that has produced a tornado warning in the past near Humboldt and Jackson. This no longer is producing a tornado warning. However, it still is important to understand. So we now have these very powerful winds now impacting Memphis, 60 miles per hour. It's likely still impacting Memphis as it continues to roll through. Definitely not as strong as it was previously. I did notice how there was a 90 mile per hour severe thunderstorm warning previously, but that still doesn't mean that you shouldn't be indoors and away from any connection with the outside world. This is still a dangerous storm. We also are looking for a tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning in Helena, West Helena, up towards Hernando, Mississippi. And then we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for Gillette, Dumas, and Gold, and DeWitt.
Yeah, and I would imagine that one would also be tornado possible right there. That one is actually, did we just get an extension there of that severe thunderstorm warning?
Which severe thunderstorm warning?
The one that is for Southern Lee, Phillips, South Central Crittenden, Western DeSoto, Coahoma, Tunica, and Tate counties.
I'm guessing that's for Arkansas. It looks like it. I mean, it's really hard to tell, but yeah, I think that's the one that he just went over right here. So, yeah, I'm
Okay,
pretty
yeah,
sure that
that
one.
one does. Yeah, that one does have a possible tornado on it.
I
I
think
believe
that
I
one
actually want to look at
encompasses the tornado
Memphis.
warning, so.
The Memphis one we have, yeah, Memphis also has a tornado possible tag on that severe thunderstorm warning as well. So if you're out east of Memphis, get ready to take shelter. If you are under a tornado warning, especially if you are in Watson and surrounding areas, back in Arkansas. What you need to do is go to the lowest floor of your home or business. You want to be in the centermost part of that home or business, and you'll want to make sure that you do not that none of those rooms have windows. And that would be an example would be a small closet or a small bathroom. Again, that doesn't have windows. Make sure that you cover yourself with any soft objects that you have that can soften the blow from flying debris or deflect flying debris, possibly. Good examples of those are uh, heavy clothes or blankets, coats, pillows, or even a mattress that you can use to protect your head and neck from flying debris, especially since one of the leading causes of death from tornadoes is blunt force trauma, especially if it hits the head and neck. So it's absolutely important that you are in shelter in the centermost part of your home, protecting your head and neck. One place if you are out driving or if you're out anywhere, make sure to locate the nearest shelter as quickly as possible. For those of you who are not in a tornado warning and you are under any of our tornado watches today, it is important that you identify a safe, sturdy shelter where you can safely protect yourself from tornadoes, especially if that would be if you have a basement, if it's a shelter with a basement or a more sturdy building, or especially a designated storm shelter. One place you absolutely should not be sheltering especially if you are driving on the highway, is under a highway overpass. As the problem with highway overpasses, contrary to myths that were debunked decades ago, is that tornadic winds can be more easily funneled through overpasses and create a stronger wind tunnel than you would on the outside, which could increase the velocity of any flying debris that could get into those places. So it is absolutely crucial that you have a safe place to get to if you are under a tornado warning, especially for those who are under the moderate risk area today and the 10% significant tornado risk areas. We've seen that over the past, definitely over the past few days, as this area in particular has been very busy with severe weather, especially with tornadoes.
So yes, I just have a question. So we are currently experiencing this line that's going through Memphis. However, what do you think like behind that line? Because I heard the SBC was mentioning stuff about like supercells developing behind that line and another line developing behind that. And that might be developing with all the special weather statements that are currently in effect across Texas, Louisiana, and western Arkansas. So I'm wondering whether there will be another line that develops later on, and that will influence some supercells to develop.
Yeah, with what we're seeing, it's definitely not out of the question. One of the biggest factors that we're looking for is to see depending on how quickly the storms grow upscale, or how the ways that if the storms are able to remain discrete, because we are starting to see some small isolated cells popping up in here in eastern Texas, and that's starting to get into the 10% significant tornado risk. So these are definitely multi-cell clusters but especially those discrete supercells, because the SBC did note that any supercells that can stay isolated and mature, those will have the biggest potential to produce strong tornadoes, some of which could even be long tracked.
Okay, so I am reading the SBC discussion at the moment. We are seeing. It does seem like we are going to get some additional supercell development. They are saying any storm that is discrete will have the capability of producing a potentially strong tornado, but we most likely have yet to see that. But we still await the rest of the supercells that are developing in eastern Texas and western Louisiana. These storms do seem like they could get going soon. So looking at the radar. Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, I just also want to mention we've had multiple flash flood warnings and even flash flood emergencies up north of, basically up to the north of this line, and more so to the north of the ongoing tornado threat towards the south. But in terms of the flash flooding threat, we have a very the flash flood threat is highly concerning for today, since we do have a high risk of excessive rainfall draped across parts of the mid-Mississippi Valley and the Ozark Plateau, basically going from, again, northeastern Arkansas all the way into parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Illinois, especially. And then lesser risks are going to be surrounding these areas going further to the northeast. So, for those who are going to be generally towards the north, to the north of the main severe weather threat, that is where you're going to have a very concerning flash flooding threat. I have seen multiple reports of flash flooding and water rescues ongoing, especially around the Memphis area.
Yes, and we currently do have a flash flood emergency for Cherokee Village, Wilford, Ravenden, and Imboden in Arkansas. This is for Lawrence and Sharp counties in eastern Arkansas. So this is a catastrophic storm in terms of flooding. This will cause potentially completely submerged roads in water. This will also cause potentially life-threatening flash flooding in the warned area, that will move into houses, that will move into communities. Please be in higher ground. Please be in higher ground if you are in this flash flood emergency. This is a very dangerous situation unfolding.
Yeah, thankfully this is the only flash flood emergency that is currently warned. There were two other flash flood emergencies ongoing, but did expire just a few minutes ago. But I do anticipate we likely will see more later on this evening, and we still have a large corridor of flash flood warnings extending all the way from south of Texarkana and up down into Lufkin and Nacogdoches, Texas, all the way up into southern Illinois and basically on the parts of the Kentucky-Indiana border.
Alright, so that is what we're seeing in terms of flash flooding. Still looking at the storm that's approaching towards Watson, Arkansas. We still have a tornado warning on it, and it does still present itself with some rotation. The rotation would be right over Watson, so please be in your safe spot if you live in Watson. But at the moment, I'm not really seeing any CC drop, so this is likely not on the ground, although it is possible that it's on the ground. The tornado warning still means it could be potentially on the ground, so please take shelter anyways, just for that scenario. this is still a dangerous storm. Looking back at our Tennessee storm, we still are seeing some rotations here and there. However, at the moment, I'm not seeing anything like sticking out to me, so we are still waiting for confirmation on that.
Yeah, and I just want to note that just want to note right here, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning down in heading towards well, just south of the Louisiana-Arkansas border. This is including Dubois, Farmerville, Marion, Downersville, and our areas to northeast of Vienna, and areas to the east of Spearsville. But looking at this, they do note that a tornado is possible, so this definitely looks like this may be a cell that we may need to keep an eye on, especially since there's really nothing to the south of it. Though I'm going to go to the Shreveport radar now. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to the south of it, but something we do have to look for is to see whether how well storms can stay discrete from each other, and that's going to be basically the primary factor as to how extensive the tornado threat will be. It looks like, at least for the moderate risk, that's going to be a bit of a more localized. Could see a more localized tornado outbreak in there.
Yes. So we have to watch every one of these storms, it seems like, for potential tornado development and supercellular development. At the moment, we aren't seeing too much down here, but we are seeing quite a bit up here. So we will continue to watch both areas, but at the moment, it seems like our main focus is continuing to be northern Mississippi, western Tennessee, and southeastern Arkansas.
Right, so yeah, but looks like as far as our current tornado warnings are concerned, they're along looks like some kind of a QLC, yeah, definitely along the QLCS. This is obviously the initial line that we have right here that's extending all the way from around the Mississippi River in southeastern Arkansas, extending all the way up into the central part of the Tennessee Arkansas border, where that tornado warning is. But obviously, further south, however, you do have. It's a lot more broken over here, so this is where our greater tornado potential is going to be, at least for the short term, which is going to be looks like it's going to be along a corridor from far eastern Texas, up into central Louisiana.
Okay, so we did just get an update from the National Weather Service. We now have a flash flood emergency for Memphis. Memphis is under a flash flood emergency. This is not observed, however, it is radar indicated, which means there is high certainty that ongoing life-threatening flash flooding is currently ongoing in the Memphis area. This includes Memphis, South Haven, Germantown, Bartlett, Millington, Marion, Olive Branch, Horn Lake, and Collierville. So all of these locations have to move to higher ground immediately, as there is a considerable flash flood threat ongoing.
Yeah, specifically, this flash flood warning is for central Crittenden County in eastern Arkansas, DeSoto County in northwestern Mississippi, and Shelby County in Tennessee. This is going to go until 8:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Doppler radar indicated thunderstorms producing heavy rain across the warned area, with 1 to 3 inches of rain having already fallen. Additional rainfall of 2 to 4 inches are possible across this area, where flash flooding is already occurring. Again, this is a flash flood emergency for the Memphis Metro. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Those in the Memphis Metro need to seek higher ground and away from any rivers or tributaries. Again, we could be seeing life-threatening flash flooding of low water crossings, small streets, small creeks and streams, urban areas, highways, streets, and underpasses. The following locations include Bartlett, South Haven, Colleyville, Germantown, Olive Branch, West Memphis, Horn Lake, Hernando, Marion, Millington, T.O. Fuller State Park, Cordova, Meeman Shelley Forest State Park, Memphis, Lakeland, Arlington, Walls, Crawfordsville, Edmondson, and Sunset. So if you are in any of these areas, you need to move to higher ground now. Do not attempt to travel unless you are fleeing an area subject to flooding or you are under an evacuation order. If you are driving, make sure you are going to higher ground. Do not attempt to cross any waters that may be flooded, even if it looks like a small puddle crossing the road. You do not want to take your chances in a flash flood emergency. You need to seek higher ground away from flood-prone areas as soon as possible.
Okay, so that is the current update on Memphis. If you have any comments for us at Force13, just tag our name at Force13. It'll appear to us bright in orange or red colors. We will respond to it in due course.
Tornado warning, northwestern Mississippi. This is for northeastern Bolivar County until 3:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. This severe storm was located over Watson or near Pea Ridge, moving to the northeast at 45 miles an hour. This dangerous storm will be near Deason in just over 20 minutes. Alligator around 3:05 p.m. Central Daylight Time. If you are in Deason, Alligator, or surrounding areas, please take your tornado safety precautions now.
So this is a tornado warning that is currently ongoing in northwestern Mississippi. This is for Duncan, Alligator, and Gunnison. All of these locations have to be aware that a tornado is potentially on the ground. If not, it is about to be on the ground. So please make sure to stay in your safe spot in those regions. That brings us up to 3 tornado warnings in total. 3 tornado warnings.
Yeah, well, technically for two different tornado warning storms, as this one is an extension of the one that was issued in Arkansas, and it also looks like this tornado warning storm is being handed off to the National Weather Service office in Jackson from Little Rock.
Okay, so yes, that is an update from them. Currently looking back at our storms in Texas and Louisiana. No rotation I can notice with these. However, there is still some supercellular development or line development currently ongoing in the Texas-Louisiana region. I am noticing the storm that has a special weather statement on it near Lufkin. Lufkin, be aware that there is a strong storm. You don't have to go into a safe spot or any sort of shelter yet. However, I do imagine
You do have to be inside somewhere.
You have to be inside, yes. If you're in a special weather statement, you have to be inside. However, I don't think that you have to be in a safe spot quite yet, because of how this storm isn't quite as concerning in its tornado potential or damaging wind potential. However, this could change, and there could be a severe thunderstorm warning issued on it soon.
Yeah, especially given the volatile conditions for supercell storms and multicell at the very least.
Definitely. Also noticing a few storms appearing near the Houston area. This is probably the edge of the line that we're seeing develop all the way from Louisiana down towards Texas. This doesn't have much rotation on it, but it still is something to look at as we continue to watch those supercells possibly develop in this region. You still have to be concerned about potential supercellular development down the line. Okay, so our tornado warning in Tennessee has been allowed to expire, so everybody in Ripley, Halls, and Henning can now enter out of their safe spot. So you don't have to be in your safe spot, but you still have to be inside as you're still in a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. You still have to be inside because of that.
Yeah, if I anyone who is in that tornado warning that just expired, I wouldn't stray too far from from your safe place, as you could potentially have an additional tornado warning. But it looks like the good news is that it doesn't look like there's going to be too much of that left. Looks like some lighter rain is going to be coming after that. However, I do want to know that given the current storm motion that we have here, it's not going to be out of it will not be out of the question. Because you do have some more rain moving to the off to the northeast. And I would also prepare if you are especially near a flash flood warning. I would prepare for any flash flood warnings as you are going to get some rain for quite some time. I think this area might actually be under a flash flood warning, but I'm not sure. No, no, they are. No, they are. No, you are under a flash flood warning. Yeah, if you are, you definitely will have to seek higher ground in this area. If you are in Memphis, we got heavier rain coming in right now. These storms will be trailing over Memphis for quite some time. But I do want to note how much rain, how much of these storms train over Memphis could potentially determine the impact of the moderate risk for tornadoes. Though we'll have to see we'll have to see how the second line of storms will evolve with this with this storm system.
So we are continuing to see this threat unfold across Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, all of those regions. We now have a severe thunderstorm warning for 1-inch hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds for Jackson, Tennessee. There is also a threat for severe thunderstorm warning in Erin and Cumberland City and Sladen and Van Leer. This is for the second line that is developing east of our most major line in the Memphis region still. But we are continuing to watch these storms as they progress.
Yeah, and looking back over here at in Mississippi, going back to Louisiana, into Texas, you can really start to see some of these scattered storms start to evolve. Some of this popcorn convection, as we like to call it, start to evolve a bit over central Mississippi. Looking back at the Storm Prediction Center, there is that 10% significant tornado risk for that area in central Mississippi, as for parts of central Mississippi as well, going back into Louisiana. So yeah, we definitely are going to need to keep an eye on these cells to see which of these are going to be able to mature, see if any of them see how they convect, cell mergers, overconvection. We're just going to have to see how these play out. I am starting to notice one particular cell just north of Raleigh that was trying to get a hook. That was trying to get a bit of a hook on it just and heading up towards Forest, which is basically areas east of Jackson. But I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this lineups, on these scattered storms that are developing across central Mississippi.
Okay, so central Mississippi, you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
I am noticing a bunch of little storms that are approaching, that are in the area of Jackson, Mississippi. These storms have yet to develop truly, but if they do develop, they could end up heading into a moderate risk and producing some tornadoes. We are unsure if these are going to be the storms or if those storms in Texas or in Louisiana will be the storms. At the moment, we're not seeing much with these storms, but we are continuing to watch them.
Yeah, absolutely, and we will keep you updated as these storms continue to evolve. I do want to note that we just recently received a new mesoscale discussion concerning two tornado watches that we have, 122 and 124. Just going to read out real quick. Damaging wind and tornado threat is expected to persist for the afternoon, concerning both these watches. This is to affect parts of western Tennessee into far southern Kentucky, where it looks like the greater severe threat will be on the southern end of that mesoscale discussion. So we do have a well-developed squall line that's ongoing. Go ahead.
Yes, so we do have a severe thunderstorm warning now for Lufkin and Nacogdoches, I believe. So those regions are now under severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag for that supercell that is developing near Lufkin. So be aware of that storm as it continues to move towards Lufkin. It could be part of our threat.
Yeah, that's going to be that. The hazards we're going to see for the time being out of this are 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts with quarter-sized hail. This severe thunderstorm warning is covering parts of Nacogdoches, southwestern Shelby, western Angelina, and northwestern San Augustine counties. And this is going to continue through 3:15 p.m. Central Time. The storm is moving northeast at 50 miles an hour, and yeah, this was pretty much right in the Hudson Lufkin corridor. But this is also expected to impact areas such as Burke, Appleby, Melrose, Hudson, Woden, Clawson, Central, Nacogdoches, Diebel, Redlands, Palmer, Martinsville, Huntington, and Shireno. If you are in these areas, obviously get to shelter, sturdy structure, but please keep in mind, tornado is possible with this storm. And speaking of tornadoes, I will continue to look at the mesoscale discussion that we have for some of these areas. Mesoscale discussion 414. This is going to be from parts of far northern Mississippi to even a small part of northwestern Alabama, going all the way into parts of southern Kentucky, and much of it through western and middle Tennessee. Reading the discussion here, that this squall line is continuing with measured wind gusts up to 55 miles an hour. It looks like some of this storm has weakened as it's moving into a more of a stable air mass. But they do note that some enhancement of the line is possible over the next couple of hours, as it will interact with a more unstable surface air mass along the front draped across southern Tennessee, with temperatures in the low 80s and dew points in the mid 60s. Also, some enhancement of the low-level jet has been. Also, we've seen some enhancement of the low-level jet, which will further support maintenance of the storm complex and its associated wind threat, and will also aid the low-level shear, favorable for some embedded tornado threat. So this is going to be mainly for our northern mode of the parts of more so for the northern mode of our storm complex, but it hasn't touched up too much on the tornado threat that we could be seeing further south yet.
Okay, so I did hear a few people asking in the chat about the Woodlands, Texas. That area looks like it will be okay from most of the storms. You are in a 5% tornado risk, but Most of the storms are developing towards your east, so you will be okay. In the meantime, we are continuing to watch these storms. We also just got a special weather statement up here in Kentucky and West Virginia. That is barely in the tornado risk, but it still isn't it nonetheless. We still will see a potential tornado threat with that, but not the moment we are seeing anything. So we'll continue to watch that storm as it moves up towards Louisa, Fleming, Missouri Branch, and East Lynn.
Yeah, I also want to know. It looks like some of our we definitely there are definitely a few structures that I'm noting that have kind of isolated, especially towards the south, and I feel like those are going to be some of the especially areas towards the southern end of the line. Those are going to be the areas that we're going to be watching the most for development and whether they can sustain and mature. Gonna go back to the Shreveport radar right here, and I am starting to notice. I am noticing a small amount of rotation on reflectivity, but I can't seem to get it very well on the velocities, at least on this radar. So I'm going to head back to the Lake Charles radar, and I actually do see a little bit of rotation here, so I won't be surprised if that gets tornado warned here pretty soon.
So where is this?
This is for the storm near Lufkin.
Okay, Lufkin. Yeah, I do notice that on that radar, it has a small amount of rotation. The best radar to use would be the Shreveport radar. However, that is a little bit far out of radar range. We are also looking at the one near Leesville radar site, and it shows some rotation developing on that storm too. So we still have yet to see any tornadoes with that storm yet, but it won't be surprising if we do get that tornado threat develop soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to note there was a new mesoscale discussion that was just released for the southern mode of the storm complex. So this one does highlight more of the concern with the tornado threat. So I'm just going to go here. So damaging winds, few tornadoes, and hail will remain possible across across the watch area, mainly across Weather Watch 123, extending all the way from western Louisiana all the way into southeast parts of eastern Texas, including the Houston metro. Scattered thunderstorms have been initiating, maturing along the line roughly from Houston to Shreveport. While storms have been slow to organize, recent readings show increasing core heights, with some rotation also increasing in the mid-levels, which means further intensification of these storms is likely over the coming hours. The environment ahead of these cells is very moist and strongly unstable, with low 70s dew points contributing to a pretty high amount of CAPE. It looks like the latest forecast soundings will continue to show that Supercell development will continue through the afternoon. Radar and HRRR trends suggest storms will continue to gradually intensify this afternoon with an associated severe risk. Some consolidation into a linear cluster also appears likely as the cold front to the west has begun to increase in forward speed. And the strong mid-level shear will still favor semi-discrete embedded elements with a risk for all hazards. Additionally, weak convection along a prefrontal confluence axis may eventually support an isolated storm ahead of the cluster. Given the broadly favorable environment and the gradual increase in intensity, the severe risk will continue with a threat for all hazards. But the main hazard that we're going to be looking at is going to be the tornado threat.
That is true. We are watching those storms for the main tornado threat. There is a tornado watch in effect until it looks like 9 p.m. Central Time. So we will continue to watch the storms up until then for that tornado threat.
Yeah, and I do also want to note real quick that this new mesoscale discussion does highlight the potential for potentially significant tornadoes and significant hail.
Well, yes, because it is showing the probable peak intensity for tornadoes and for hail.
Yeah, it looks like the max intensity, at least on as being estimated here, is around EF3 intensity, which is still significant.
Yes, so we are continuing to watch these storms. This is Force 13 Live. We are continuing to watch these storms. Uh, if we get to a point where there is no longer any tornado warnings, we may stop the live coverage. However, we're unsure if that's going to happen soon. We likely won't. We're likely going to continue to see action as we move through the afternoon, especially with this possibly rotating storm near Lufkin. So we'll continue to watch that storm as time moves on.
Yeah, it looks like in terms of flash flooding, it looks like some flash flood warnings are also being extended. Time-wise, including this one issued by NWS Little Rock for Jackson, Lenoke, Monroe, Prairie White, and Woodruff counties in Arkansas, that are going to continue for at least a couple more hours. And that is a PDS flash flood warning since the flash flood damage threat is considerable, though it is radar indicated. But for those who are in those counties right there, you absolutely still need to seek higher ground.
We just got a new special weather statement for Carthage, Texas. Carthage, Texas, you have to go indoors, and go deep inside of your house, to make sure that you are safe and protecting your life. Of course, this isn't a very strong storm, but still, it can cause damage, especially with its... I can't really see the winds, and, let me just move to the, this... Oh, wrong storm. Uh, this. And let me just get the, message. So 40-mile-per-hour winds and half-inch hail is possible with the storm.
Okay. I'm continuing to watch this only the tornado warned storm that we have right now. It's really the only tornado warned storm. There are two different tornado warnings on it, but it's pretty much the same warning issued by two different National Weather Service offices. So I guess in technicalities it's kind of one, um, but I don't think it. I don't see that. I don't see that's going to last very long. There is a chance we might see this might be our last tornado warning for a little while, but at the same time, we could see some new tornado warnings pop up within moments because we are definitely seeing more storms evolving across from Eastern Tech along a corridor from Eastern Texas into far western Mississippi. Um, so basically, what we're looking for is whether storms can remain discrete or whether they're going to start growing more upscale as time goes on. So that's kind of going to determine uh, how widespread, how persistent the tornado threat will be today, and how strong some of the tornadoes could get. But nonetheless, if you are in any of the tornado watches right now, it is absolutely imperative that you get ready to put a tornado plan in place. Find your nearest start find your nearest tornado shelter or any safe place where you can safely take cover from tornadoes. As this is obviously we are obviously in a bit of a lull right now concerning the tornado threat. We are mainly seeing severe thunderstorm and, more importantly, flash flood warnings further north, basically along the corridor from Texarkana through Little Rock and Jonesboro, Arkansas, going all the way up into southwestern Indiana. Especially, it looks like Evansville, Indiana, is now under a flash flood warning. So it looks like, so obviously that's going to continue to, those flash flood warnings will continue to expand throughout the afternoon, going into the evening. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued. There's not a lot of this new one does not have a tornado possible tag on it, but I definitely want to try to see if there's any which ones have tornado possible tags on them. And we just got an update on Little Rock side of tornado warning that has been allowed to that has been canceled.
So yes, Little Rock side of that tornado warning has been allowed to expire. However, we're continuing to watch if that storm will continue to develop as it enters into Mississippi.
Yep, so tornado, yep. So definitely, but surrounding these areas, we do have tornado possible tagged severe thunderstorms. Total, actually, we do not have that many severe thunderstorm warnings either. Um, let's see. So, but it seems like the ones that we have right now, those have all the ones I'm seeing so far are all tornado possible tagged. But I think this most recent one though, the one up here, is not tornado possible tagged. And then we have a couple more severe thunderstorm warnings going up into Tennessee. There is a tornado possible tag up here as well. I believe that's the one that includes Camden and Brewston. And then looking at this one, including Tennessee Ridge, also tornado possible. So it looks like, if I'm correct, all but one of the severe thunderstorm warning we have ongoing have a tornado possible tag.
Yes, and the only one that doesn't have a tornado possible tag is that one that's for Jackson, Tennessee.
Right.